Next step for the intercooler install is going to be the headlights. 10mm bolt here, 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 and right here. Up top, this one. Then your headlights come out. Of course, there is a electrical connection, and I may be able to get to that from the bottom here. I think so. I think that's going to be it right there. So I'll unplug it before I take the bolts out. Okay, so headlights are out. That is the connection. They're right here. And I'm gonna try to take off as least stuff as possible in parts. I want this whole thing to come off as one as much as possible. These, why wouldn't they be 8? They're 8mm. Those are gonna have to come out across there. And then these clips are a little tricky. If you can see back up in there, get you a light, and then you'll be able to lift on that, kind of twist it. I'll see if I can show you how to get those out off the top of the radiator there. So let me get these other bolts out. All right, so with these, what I did was I was able to I had to pop this little clip that was right here out, and I had to get this up in there, and there's a clip on either side. It expands out, and when it expands out, it locks in. So you have to get that pulled, and it's impossible to do it while holding the camera. And there's really not anywhere in here that I could have mounted it to really show you, but you can see it's the radiator nozzles attached to that. So once you get it out, maybe when I get this off the car, it'd be easier to kind of show you what's going on there. But they're a pain, and I needed a little tool like this to get in there and have leverage to pop it. And pop them clips on both sides, because both have to be pushed in. You got to do one side at a time, then push the other one in, and you can get the radiator to push back. So the next thing, this is a 2022, so we're gonna have to drill out these rivets. They put rivets here instead of bolts. I am gonna try to put some rivets back in it. I have a kit of rivets over here. If I don't have the right size, I'll go to Harbor Freight and get it. Once I get those rivets drilled out, I should be able to take these 4 bolts out of both sides for the bump support, and then finish taking those out, and this all should come out. I want to go ahead and show you this. This is for your hood latch. You go ahead and get that just pulled up out of what's holding it there, and just pull it out just like that. Then you'll have that. I'm gonna go ahead and snap it back shut so none of that comes loose when I'm taking this off. So run into a little snaggeroo here. This harness comes up. Let me get it right so I can show you. This harness comes here. Pop this clip out. You'll be able to push down right here. Let me get it focused. Push down right here in the center, and then this, once you get pushed down on that, this gray bar here will open up and allow this to be disconnected. Then you can push it down, and it's going to come off with this front assembly. So I got that off. That's what I use to get that one pop out. And then you're gonna wanna go ahead and unplug this map sensor. The way you do that is push this white thing down, and then you use that to push and get it out. And it looks like that's the only thing. You can leave this bar on once you get the 4 bolts out. It's just kind of focused. I mean, come on, work with me. It's just kind of hanging on the assembly here, so you can leave that on there. The rivets are drilled out. That's the head of the rivets down there. I get that cleaned up once I get this whole assembly off. If there's anything else to be unplugged, I'll show you guys what it is once I get this kind of pulled back. Okay, so this is a pretty good opportunity. This one's got to be undone too. It's a good opportunity to show you how to push that down. So the gray piece comes up once you push that black, and then you just push this up, and it allows the harness to come undone. And my bucket caught the whole thing, and that's everything disconnected. And that was on the driver's side, and the fender well right there is where that connector is. All right, got all that stuff off. So next step, what I'm gonna go ahead and do is loosen the clamp here, take this bolt out, loosen the clamp here, And I think that's all that's really holding this intercooler in, because it's got this little tab right here that's resting in. So let's go ahead and get that bad boy off of there. So next step on the intercooler install here, we'll go ahead and get the top box here out of the box. It's packaged very nicely. As you can see, I went ahead and took these out of the packaging. It's gonna have both your side brackets, a couple of L brackets here, and 2 more tie straps, all the bolts, and the fitting that you need for the intercooler itself. She's a beaut, Clark. This right here, I got it laid out of how the brackets are going to go here on the intercooler, and I've got my fitting here. I know these are tapered threads, so they really don't need this thread sealing on it, but I'm gonna go ahead and put some on it anyway. Better safe than sorry. Now, I don't know if it's supposed to or not, but mine didn't have any instructions about where this stuff goes. I mean, you should. I'm guessing it's going to be pretty easy for most people. I'm going to snug this down. Don't over tighten this. You don't want to strip anything out. I'm going to loosely put all the bolts and stuff in here for the hardware, for the back pieces. Then I'm going to hang it and get it lifted up, put the bolts loosely in the front on those front brackets that are hanging right here. Show you the holes that those go in. Just right there. Both sides. There's a set like it's made for this. And I'm going to blue Loctite in. Why is everything so blurry here? I'm going to blue Loctite in all the bolts for these brackets. Like I said, I'm going to leave them loose until I get the front ones on, and then I'll get it set up into place and then start tightening them down. So there she is. You just kind of, you got to get it up on the hooks and stabbed into these hoses. And these little clips on these hoses actually help you out a lot to keep the hoses straight. And I got it pushed up in there. Got the bottom brackets lined up and on. This one was a little bit bent. I had to bend it back straight, I guess from shipping. Get these started and get them pushed all the way up in, you know, just finger tight, just like I did the ones on the back here. And then once I get these into position with these hooked on and everything looks good, I hold it in place and I tighten down these 4 for the front brackets. And then I unhooked it out of the top up here and tightened down all 4 of these. I went ahead and put my map sensor in place. I know somebody said that his bolt was too long. This one was perfect. Don't over tighten any of these bolts. You want them pretty tight, but with blue Loctite, that'll keep them from kind of vibrating out. Don't forget to hook this radiator, or hook this intercooler back on this side and this side, and get it hooked back into place where it's supposed to go. I need both my hands because I got to pick it up and push it. So make sure you get these hooked all back into place and get this top bolt put. So that's all that I cut off. I used a fresh razor blade, just kind of trimmed it around where these pieces would fold back through. So let's go ahead and get started on putting the top back together. I've got to tighten up my clamps on both sides. All these bolts and the one on the back are tight. I got to put this 8mm in, the factory bolt. Goes right back in right there and get it tightened up. And then we work on putting the front back on. Here's where we are with the install. I went back and checked, made sure that all my bolts and clamps, everything was tight, put in place. It's just a good measure to always go back and check. Put your hand on it, make sure everything's tight. I did mark these so I can try to see if any one of them has kind of come undone. And what I did on the bottom here, I went ahead and put nut certs in. I think these things, the post for this sticks way down. So the bolts I got may be too long for this. If they are, then I'll just use the 2 center ones here. I'm sure that's gonna be plenty considering the fact that most people don't put those back at all on the 2022. So having 2 is better than 0. So I'll show you the bolts that I got. So this right here is the little nut cert thing that I bought from Harbor Freight. It was like 35 bucks. I've needed one a couple times. I've had to borrow one, so went ahead and just bought one. Use the M6 certs. What you'll do is drill out the holes there if you want to use this until these fit in there. You don't want them real loosey-goosey, but you don't want them super tight either. Then you'll just use the M6 bit here and thread them in. And this right here is the bolts that go for the M6. It's the M6 by 100. These are the only ones that they had at Harbor Freight in stainless steel. I wanted stainless steel so they wouldn't rust. Got stainless steel washers also because the head of these bolts, I don't want them pulling through the plastic. So these are the only length they had. There were no other options in stainless steel, and I don't want this stuff to rust. So this is what I'm going with. Like I said, 2 is better than none. A lot of people ain't putting any of them back. So let's get on with installing like the, I guess, radiator support or shroud or whatever it's called. All right, so I went back and forth with these grill shutters of whether or not I want to remove them. And I want to go ahead and remove them. I figure I can always put them back on, I guess. So this is the T20. You'll take out some bolts that connects us together. One's right here. There's a couple up towards the top here. And there's some down towards the bottom. Take all those out. There's, looks like 4 in total. And then once you get those out, my light on this side, you just go to the outside edge of each one, like so. And you just pry it until it pops out. There's that one. Some of them are a little more difficult than others, and this always helps. You got another hand that you can. There's that. So you just work on down the line, popping them out. Just like so. Then the bottom is gonna pop out in much the same fashion. I'll work on down the line on the bottom, and I'll just remove all of them as one singular piece, and I'll leave the motor in. All right, so there's the bottom. This right here is the top ones. They're exactly the same. They're left and right pieces. I got the center pieces and all out, and I'm just gonna put the little T20 screws back in there. Motor's still in there, operating as normal. Once you get the sides out, they'll be clipped along this line. You just use a screwdriver and unclip them, and they just kind of fall out. So there we go. The T20s go back into these plastic pieces. Only one of them goes back in down here at the bottom. So what you're gonna wanna do with this is make sure all your harnesses are up where you need them at. Here for the headlight and driver side, map sensor. This one routes in front of the shroud and stuff. Don't let it get caught up in this like I did the first time. That's for this connection, okay? Make sure you've started these where they need to go. They're just started in there. Get them started. This one needs a little bit more. So that's just kind of started. This is this headlight. Make sure this is accessible down here. Nothing's pinching or going to pinch anywhere. Everything else is lined up. And what I'm gonna do is push it on into place. Once I get it pushed into place here, push these up, click those in. All right, so this is clicked in. All right, then I'll start putting my bolts across the top here. And don't forget your tie straps and your wiring connections. And then I'm gonna put the 2 bolts in the center. I've already tested them. The ones that go on the outside are just gonna be a little bit too long. So I'll show you that here in just a second. All right, well, I just realized something. I didn't even see these 2 at the very end corners. I can drill them and put nut certs in that, and I would still have 4 bolts. And those right there that I put in don't really matter at all if they're not long enough. So It's not difficult. I basically got everything in here kind of loose. I'm just gonna take those back out and put nut certs in there too. All right, so it's on. Everything is where it should be. I've got the map sensor plugged in. All these bolts are tight. All 4 of these on both sides are tight. And there's the one I added there. 2, 3, and 4. That's plenty. The only thing that I've got left to do, I've got this electrical connection here and the other one on the other side, of course. Let's not forget about those. So the only thing I got left to do is the tie straps themselves. And you'll see where they go through right here. They'll come through that right there. Go through down here at the bottom through this hole and just tie strap this thing in place. With those 4 bolts, I don't even see where you need those tie straps, but I'm gonna put them on just because I'm supposed to. Well, this is unfortunate. The whole inside of one of my tie straps, let's get it in focus here. The whole inside of one of my tie straps blowed out when I was trying to tighten it down. So you know what? F those tie straps. I'm not putting them on. This is really, really tight right here with those 4 bolts that I put in at the bottom of nut certs. So for me, I'm not worried. So now's a good time to go around and make sure that you have everything plugged in that needs to be plugged in. All the harnesses available that need to be available. Everything's done. All your bolts are tight and everything's ready to go to start putting the headlights in, then attach your bumper back in place. Make sure everything is tight and where it's supposed to be and ready to go before you move any further. Save yourself some headache. Now let's get on putting the headlights back in, and then I'm gonna hang the bumper and plug in the harnesses for that, and we're almost done. All right, so just to recap, everything's back together now. And to recap what I did, you go ahead and push these fenders in. Make sure that this goes behind this plastic piece. This right here goes on top of this right here. And make sure you get all these push pins in. Now there's 2 different sizes. The big fat push pins go into this right here, and then all the skinny ones go everywhere else, okay? Then you have these bolts that go along there. All right, make sure all your clips in. You'll slightly push this in and forward when you're tightening up the bolt. Start from the center bolts here, work your way down and then back up. Then check over and make sure all your stuff's together before you close your hood. Make sure your hood prop is there and in place and ready to go. And then all that's left is to go ahead and clean this thing up. I have started it up, runs fine, no lights, no warnings, anything like that. I'm gonna leave the wheels off because I'm gonna go ahead and ceramic coat these brake calipers with some CarPro Deluxe since I got it all. And I don't have to use the car until tomorrow afternoon anyway, so now's the best time to go ahead and do that. So overall, not a bad install. It's just a little time consuming, and I hope this video will help you out kind of step by step to get this stuff off. Take your time. You can do this stuff. I'm in a garage on jack stands. You can do it in a garage on jack stands. I've seen people remove the bumper off of these things without even jacking it up. So, I mean, you can do it. It's not very difficult to do. That's all I got for this video, guys. If you're interested on the bumper takeoff removal, I made a separate video for just bumper removal. If you're interested in that, you can go check it out. If you've watched this before watching that one, I know this one kind of started with the bumper already off, and that's why. So appreciate you guys for watching. Thanks for all the likes and subscriptions that I get. Remember to share this video if you think it could help anybody. I try to put as many pointers in the video and little workarounds and stuff in detail as possible without making the video 45 minutes long. So I'm open to any suggestions. Leave them down in the comments. Thanks again for watching.